to Atlanta Motor Speedway, where a Toyota, a Ford, and a Chevrolet are fastest in practice. And compared to last year, with the reduced downforce, we're about 0.8 of a second slower as far as the fastest lap of practice so far.
And what does that mean? That means better racing, if you ask me. And it's going to mean a lot more of this shot and that hand movement of Daniel Suarez. Look at those hands moving around in the corner. That is incredible.
You know what you call that, Mike? You got your hands full.
Now here he goes down into turn one, and watch this. Look, he could barely even turn the wheel going in the corner. You'll see this a lot where they hook that yellow line. There's a good grip if you get the left side. You can really see the back end trying to step out. You know, DW, right before we went to commercial, we talked about loose in, tight off. I think here in Atlanta, it's loose in, tight in the middle, loose off.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to fight everything throughout these long corners.
And we have a big tailwind going down the back. I mean, you watch the flags right now. They are blowing hard, so you got a really hard push into turn 3. Got a little bit of a headwind going down into turn 1. There's nothing really to break the wind up. So strong wind down the back, little head into the front.
Daniel Suarez, the rookie. Let's check on one of his Joe Gibbs Racing teammates. Here's Matt.
And Mike, down in the 18 garage, a sense of urgency. Kyle Busch said something happened that's never happened to him before. He went to hit the starter switch and nothing. He turned off the main power switch, rebooted everything. The digital dash came on, but still the car would not fire. Now they've taken the dash off, they've taken one wiring harness out, trying to see what might be amiss here on the 18. The game plan early on was to go out and make 10 laps. Solid run to see if anything was dragging. If it did, he'd bring it back in, but they wanted to get a good gauge while the track was at this point of the morning. But right now, they've got bigger problems.
Well, now, when they unload these cars and they roll them through inspection and they roll them onto the scales and set them up and do everything they have to do in the garage, surely at some point they start them up.
Oh yeah, I was down in the garage earlier. They were all fired up. So I mean, I would certainly think that they warmed this engine up and ran it earlier. So many electronics that are within these cars now that it's, you never know what all could go wrong. Larry McReynolds, you got something down the garage?
Yeah, you know, I always like to walk 3 here before practice and go, are you going to make any qualifying runs? Are you going to make the race runs, or what you're playing? And in a general consensus, I even talked to Paul Wolf, Brad Keselowski's crew chief. It seems like everyone, for the most part, is going to make some race runs. I just felt like this package is so different, and the fact you want to get your heights right. And the other thing is, because you have to start the race on your qualifiers, they get an additional set of tires for practice, and they only have one practice tomorrow. So it's 5 sets for tomorrow and today's practice. So I think for that reason, that's why we're seeing race runs maybe.
Now, Larry, pre-practice inspection was not a full inspection like it will be before qualifying, was it?
It was not, Mike. You know, this is where they pretty much started the inspection, and it's just basically safety, checking the size of the engine, and going over the fuel cell. But they did have the laser inspection station and some templates open on a volunteer basis, and they certainly were encouraging teams to go through there, but it was not mandatory this morning.
Great, thank you. Jamie McMurray had an eventful Daytona 500. Made a lot of big, bold moves, the last of which did not end well. But number 1, hard into the outside wall, and collected a lot of cars behind him.
I just think about what we heard Dale Jr. say when he's in the booth, but you see an opening, you got to take it. You see a chance, you got to take it. But you got to use a little discretion, too. And sometimes some of those bold moves don't pay off so well.
Yeah, it's all about risk versus reward. We talked a lot about that in Daytona, and you know, some of those moves really paid off for some drivers and crew chiefs, and for some, unfortunately, we saw some huge wrecks.
I talk about body language. I'm not talking about a guy. I'm talking about a car's body language. You can tell how a driver's going to drive. You can tell whether he's going to be aggressive or not. You can tell whether he's going to work with you or not. Those are things that you figure out as you go along. And, you know, some guys, I don't want that guy around me because he's too aggressive, and I'd rather work with this guy because he really is somebody I can trust. So you really battle that all during the race. Who can I trust? Who's going to be too aggressive? We don't want to stay away from him.
You know, DW, here's what I saw in Daytona during Speed Race and then the Daytona 500 is with stages now, I mean, track positions become more important even at those tracks. I can remember times when, I felt like things were getting a little bit wild as we go on board with Daniel Suarez, and look who's there in the window giving him some advice. Carl Edwards.
Yeah, this was planned that Carl would come to Atlanta, help Daniel on Friday, get acclimated to a track that he knows so well. He's only planning to be here today, although he said he's available to hang tomorrow if the team and Daniel ask him to. But you want a driver coach?
Oh, who better?
He'll be one of the best.
Who better than Carl Edwards?
And Jeff
that's
and I,
fantastic to have that kind of experience that you can tap into if you're Daniel Suarez.
And Jeff and I talked to Suarez this morning. He's a really smart guy. And one of the things we both recognize in him when we saw it at Daytona, he's a good listener and he's a quick learner. When he takes advice so well, he listens to Carl Edwards. Carl's right there saying, look, you're getting outside the lines right here, buddy. And this is not a good picture. And you need to work a little on this, work a little on that. Hit your marks. He's marking his place on that screen where he needs to be.
2005, Carl won his first Xfinity race and his first Cup race here in the very same weekend.